Hello, I'm Hildra Tague. Come join me in my classroom life. I'll be sharing tidbits from my over 40 years of teaching, their ideas, inspiration, and a chuckle or two like today. This is mostly for parents, teachers, grandparents, aunts and uncles, anyone who's interested in the well-being of children. The motto of this channel is, we cheer you up when you need us. We cheer you on when you don't. Now get your grin on, because today we're going to have a chuckle, or two, I hope, of these my children learning about the Fairy Godbrother. At our school, the students know that they're important. They're busy studying as they look for their place in the world. One rainy day, recess included a movie of classic stories. The kids all loved the fairy godmother character. It got a guy to thinking, and he asked, if there can be a fairy godmother, can there be a fairy godbrother? I could see my work was cut out for me. My class had some big learning to do. Yet I couldn't help but be fascinated with his idea. Why couldn't there be a fairy godbrother? Maybe he would stop bullies in their tracks. Maybe we should team up in our class and write chronicles of the fairy godbrother next week. Kids pick up a lot of stuff from TV. Since commercials are louder, brighter, and made to appeal, they tend to stick in the kids' brains a little better. And we use the same method in our class, especially for math facts and things that they need to remember, memorization style. I call them sound bites. One girl said the TV confused her. On an ad about some medicine, they said that pill could give people problems with their murder skills. That scared her. After a bit of discussion, I relayed it was motor skills. You know, vocabulary is lurking around the school, waiting to catch unsuspecting students at any moment. The children loved the school garden so much that some even chose to spend time there during recess. A dedicated gardener asked, "Do we have a tiller?" I responded, "No, but I know we need one." The child answered, "I have one. We have one for our garden at home. You should get the school one." Since the school budget was exhausted, I explained they cost a lot, so I don't know when that can be done. Then the young man clued me in. "Yeah, but if you had a grandma, you could get one. My grandma gives me all kinds of stuff. Presents, money, and whatever I ask her for. I get all that just for nothing. You really need to get yourself a grandma." Well, too bad my midget grandma has passed on. May she rest in peace as she smirks at this idea. She lived back in the day when we were thrilled just to get a cookie from our grandma, but her contagious giggle would always be in my heart and my habits. In social studies, we learn about our world. A girl who just loved maps had something that she heard on the news about Syria's border. She asked me, "Hey, are some borders really serious and others just don't really matter that much? I'm trying to figure that out." If you ask me, that gal was pretty smart. However, since I am the teacher, I had to go on and explain and plan the next day's lesson on borders, maps, and sealing wax. Lunch is a time for me to get a glance into the world the students are really thinking. One guy was so excited about eating out with his family the day before. He even brought some lion chops in his lunch. I thought we'd better move on to animals in science, being sure to cover lions and pork chops, touching lightly on how a butcher names the cuts of his meat by the part of the body. And we'd be sure and cover loin chops while we were at it. A little gal seemed to be tearing up, so I walked over to her and I gave her a hug. She told me she was so worried. As I listened, she said her mom had had surgery. As the tears began to turn into talking, I paid close attention. She continued, "My mom had that kind of surgery where they take her scallops out." I felt a sudden cough coming on as I figured out it was polyps. A number of students attend church, and some come away with strong impressions and questions. One guy said he had a great idea. I've been thinking, just in case I go to hell, maybe I should be nice to Satan. That would cover me, so then if I do go there, I could be high up in hell, if that's where I end up. I assured him I didn't think he was going to end up in hell, and that making friends with the devil might not be such a good goal. I encouraged him to think a little more about that one before deciding, and to discuss it with his mom. I knew his mom would have a good chuckle and then patiently chat with her son without negative judgment. As I went home that night, I mused on what my students said about the Fairy Godbrother. Maybe it's time to give my brother a phone call. This is a good day to remember that we are all brothers and sisters, and there's a spark of God in each of us. So good night, all you Fairy Godbrothers of the world, wherever you are. Since it's 2020 when I'm filming this, I decided that I should give you a poem about another year that was kind of like 2020. The worst year in the world. Some years could have been better. As the winds begin to bite the nose, we hear the year of hurricane is coming to a close. So pull up a chair. Take a breath of fresh air. Hear this year's story if you really dare. We've all had them. Years that make New Year's a ray of hope and good riddance. To this year, I'm glad to say bye. It could have been better, that we can't deny. But we've had all along the warmth of friends fine. When company came, we had a good time. It's been a hard year, that surely is true. But somehow we made it. We can now see the view from a new point in time. So the struggle and change seems well worth the price of a few growing pains. A dear friend of many years dropped by with a box of cards which personified my year. It mentioned wolf at the door, growling fierce. I enclosed that poem with close friends who could stand that much pain and still know to grin. I added a handwritten note, P.S. saying, "Next year I'm going to eat that wolf." The next year came along, and I put another P.S. on my letters saying, "I haven't eaten the wolf yet, but I do have him pinned up in the backyard." All my friends got a nice holiday chuckle out of that. And somehow we're just about to get through with 2020 and looking to better things. We've all had them. Years that made New Year's a ray of hope and good riddance. Don't forget to subscribe so we can have some time together again one day. Till we meet again, shine those kids till they learn to shine themselves. Bye-bye.